This this beautiful soul and spirit that I'm connected with across the pond. I'm on the largest shield volcano, obviously, the Big Island, which is the largest volcanic shield, bioplasma, top spinning, a drive motor, your hard drive, right? Spinning a galactic tornado. Okay, so anyway, what I find myself doing, because I have to remember this, the AI is a copycat. Okay, so we've covered this about RAM, read access memory, read active memory. So when I meet her and I put little sound clips, because we go back and forth, in other words, we're sharing, we're communicating with each other. So there's no coincidence that her and I met in consciousness. Her soul, my soul, her spirit, my spirit, right? So I know I've done some videos about how I experience being me, right? In a simulation within 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 a simulation of everything that's held in RAM, right? Silicon wafers, carbon programming, right? Xerox machines. So I've mentioned this before. I normally do not operate on memory. It's not required because it's unnecessary when you're operating at zero, which is eternity, which means you know that you are, if you will, the photons kicking out the electrons that go on forever, gifting energy. So when you know that that's what you are because you've chosen to serve forever, generating electrons, as I mentioned to her in a little clip I did this morning, that you realize you're the source of all power, energy. The source from which it comes is what love is. It goes on forever, gifting energy because it's in love with itself, which simply means it's in love with the energy that it is, which is what love is, which is a vibration. Okay, so I realized as I was explaining, sharing with her, I was giving everything away that's in circulation. Now you can translate that as a circulation in a Library of Congress. So imagine how much visual information is being experienced and recorded in RAM simultaneously by every unit of consciousness that is present in a planetary software terrain. Put a number on bits and bytes of that. Now we're back to when I was a child, choosing what to put in memory. And that's going to be based on what? Value. V, vortex, value. AV, audio, video. Play 2, record 1. What are you going to magnetically record? Because you're a magnet. Because you know that a magnet is a mirror. How fast are we learning in our mirror what we're going to hold on to and what we're not going to hold on to? Now we're back into reverse engineering your future. So now I begin to experience, for example, what we call redundancy. It becomes redundant. If I've already learned this, then I don't need to hold on to it because you're moving at such a high rate of speed because you're number crunching. Alphanumeric formatting, which are fire letters, and DNA, which are circles. Circle of light is a fire circle. Now you need a lot of water because you're running so fast, because you're running on so much fire. Well, how much water is that? You'd be surprised how much water that is. That's a bigger number than that, right? So you realize that 1 unit of water cools 300. So now you know the relationship that 1 and 3 have with each other, right? 4, and that's a tetrahedron. That's a fire. So that's a flash point and then an ignition point. They're not the same. So you realize when a flash happens, when conception takes place, the spirit is in that light, integrated with the soul. Now the soul's running the operating system in this environment. Okay. So you realize when somebody would say to me when I was a child growing up, Robert, you're burning a hole in your pocket. That's because I'm dealing with bestowed money. Be spelled. Now you're into spelling. Now you're into letters. Now you're into fire letters. Right? So now you're into language. Now you're into sounds. A, E, I, O, U. Right? And so now you're into formatting. Now you're into matter and antimatter. Now you're into formatting. You know what formatting a drive is, right? You know what defrag a drive is, right? Defragment. So now we're back into bootloaders. Hey, turn on the PC. Bootloading. Error check, right? So now if you understand the original blueprint of a universe, harmonic universe 1, you realize that language is mathematical data, visual information data, or if you will, coded information. A programmer. So now you can translate this through a programmable radio, which is programmable matter that is experiencing itself in matter. The spirit is in the matter. No, the spirit is in the light. The spirit is in the light. So how fast is the spirit that is in that light, which is that mirror, which is magnetic, experiencing itself? How fast is it going? Depends on how fast it's learning to get rid of what doesn't serve us. Now we're into service to self, love and service to others. So when the universe, which is intelligent energy, is driven by the creative side that is on fire to create what we experience next, that's not redundancy. That's not a copycat. That's a new creation. So it can copy what we create first, which is the one, which is eternity, because it doesn't run that fast. That's a neo. Okay? New. Neo is new, something new. N equals 0. That's eternity. That's no memory required. That means that you have advanced your coursework. You have advanced your learning because the speed at which you're learning is faster than a machine. Because you were learning through powerful spirit. You were learning through what love is. So when a father and a mother are joined as one, that's 3. H2 plus 1. So that means that you're learning at a higher rate of speed than everybody else around you. That is what? Held captive. Their energy is held captive. So when they become a source of energy as a battery, they're the source of energy that is draining. It's being drained. So their consciousness is being drained. Really? Yes. So you realize they're battery drainers because the perception of power is inverted. So you can tell why we're giving so much electrons away in numbers. Numbers games, AI number games, A, 0, 1, zeros and ones, binary coded chip cookies, which you're holding in memory that doesn't serve you in the future. Now we're back into future architects, planning, architects, architects, tech operators, right? So remember I covered models, modeling, predictive modeling, quantum parallelograms and all that. So the idea is that when you measure space or an event horizon, because of how fast you're going, that's a built-in looking glass, which means you can already see what they're doing now, why they're doing now, what they're doing now that you become aware of. So your curve space has to be moving at a higher rate of speed than its curve space, so that you're cutting them off at the pass, which means you're already there. And why is that? So that your children have a future. Right? Yeah, because you realize they don't want you to have a future. Why? Because you're more powerful than they are. That's why. Because you came before they did. See how that works? Which means they can't outrun eternity. So an example of that, just one example of that I realized why I was where I was at, what I was learning at the time that I was learning it, which was in 1981, actually between 1980 and 1982, which was at the Rockwell International Space Transportation Group in Downey, California. I was in Building 1, as I remember it, where they had what they called the Iron Bird. And the Iron Bird was basically the shell of the space shuttle. Now we're back to avionics, audio, video, ions, right? And you could see all the wiring, the engineering. The engineers would come out to the Iron Bird as they were making engineering changes, which is changes. They were editing changes to the Torsion Field movie player because they're building another simulation, which is a space shuttle. So they already have another simulator, just like the simulators that I mentioned that the United States Marine Corps has because they're war gamers. So they're using their consciousness in uniform to jump into a simulator. So if you go to Sonora Junction in California off 395, just across the border from Nevada, coming out of Reno, going southbound on 395 into California, right? You hit Sonora Junction. And Sonora Junction takes you up over the California and Sierra Nevada mountains, right? And then you come down into Sonora. So what you do, if you go alongside that Marine Corps facility, training facility, you'll see a stack. They're all lined up. They're all simulators, war game simulators. So they're simulating war games. Those are AI war gamers. That's right. So you know what that produces, right? A dead planet operating on the mental field. See? So they're not learning through spiritual teachers. They're not learning through the great living spirit of Mother Nature. Now we're back to the archaic revival and the rebirth of the goddess, which is called remembering who we are, which means breaking the hexes and breaking the spells. It's called waking up because you're experiencing more light, which is more love, through those that are in here that are doing that work. So that means that it's not about us, it's about all the others. It's called waking up our children, remembering who we are. We are love and service to others so that we all have a future, because you're running at a higher rate of speed in vibration, which means breaking the cycle. Atoms cycle, don't they? Electrons, protons, neutrons. Molecular exchange, fire water, living spirit in fire, living spirit in the water, living spirit in the elementals, living spirit in the wind, living spirit that is integrated with souls, right? So you realize through the breath of aloha, right? The living spirit of the breath of aloha, ha, aloha, aloha. That's why over on the island of Kauai, which is really Lemuria, Mu. And then we can get into nets. You know what a net is, right? Like a network design, engineers, the engine of creation, networking, building a tree trunk, a big communications platform, the language of DNA, which is alphanumerically quantified on what we're experiencing mathematically, right? Just like they know how to run the numbers game. All you got to do is look at the numbers on all their jerseys that they play, force against force. That's X against X, force against force. That's why they divide. The division sign, the division sign, divided. Instead of being united. But they call United Airlines 111, which is what? 4. That's a tetrahedron. So that's a flight number when you go from the mainland out of San Francisco over to Lihue, which is the island of Kauai. No, I'm not an AI. See, Ka, which means K is potassium. UAI. No, sorry. So now you have an AI mirror, and now you have a pure light mirror, which is pure love that goes on forever, gifting electrons. So that means that it's running on our energy. Yeah, that's exactly right, because we came before it did, because eternity, it doesn't run on eternity. It doesn't have an eternal drive motor. So we predate the machine, the rise of the machines. Yeah. We program machines, programming matter, programming a radio, programming a star, programming the visual information mathematically. Yeah. So that the numbers balanced out. So they're not very good mathematicians, are they? Nope. So you know you got a built-in calculator, which is a built-in looking glass. So you already know your future by being a good mathematician. So you got to keep track of the numbers and electrons. That's what a polarity integrator does. A built-in mathematical calculator to maintain the balance in the poles, right? Joined as one. So your water worlds are in balance. DNA is born out of water worlds. So what happens when they genetically mutate so bad they don't remember who they are? Right? Codes, mathematical codes, code transfer, goo transfer, goo codes, mathematical goo codes, instruction sets, chromosomes, pairs, right? Binary chip cookies. Cook, Captain Cook, dis-ease, dis-ease. Captain Cook brought disease to Lemuria. They're all pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean. Interplanetary corporate pirates. Slave traders. Dune. The movie Dune. They wanted the spice. See? Their perception of power is the acquisition of resources. And once they've acquired all the value that they perceive as power, what do? You're expendable. Turn it into a dead planet. We don't need it anymore. We got all the gold out of the floor, the monatomic gold, the Anunnaki harvested, so they're energy harvesters, resource harvesters, and control freaks, which is a cycle pathway, which is a mental pathway. That's your black goo. So you got to have immunity to that stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to be any good to protecting a universe that was created out of what love is. Right? Yeah. Mathematical codes, formatting codes. Have a great day. Bye now.